Welcome to another edition of the Noles Podcast. I am your host, Gregory McCoy. This podcast is by a fan, for fans. I am not a journalist. I am not a reporter. I am not an insider. I do not work for a website. The majority of my information comes from me. Other information comes from the internet. Today is January 2nd, 2020. And this is episode number 33. I will not be doing a Sun Bowl breakdown on this episode. That will come on January 3rd's episode. Today I'm going to stick with my usual format, breaking down one offensive player and one defensive player. And then I have a couple of other topics that I would like to talk about as it relates to Florida State football. My first player that I would like to break down today is Chaz Neal. Offensive tackle, 6'7", 305 pounds. And this is what I wrote about him. Needs to hit weight room hard. Never seen this guy play offensive tackle. He's a converted defensive lineman. Obviously, with the struggles that Florida State had at offensive tackle, this guy can't be that talented. He could not beat out Abdul Bello or Jawan Williams to get playing time. And this is going to sound kind of harsh, but I don't really think that this guy's ever going to play it down for Florida State at offensive tackle. I just think that he is hogging up a scholarship at this point. Abdul Bello and Jawan Williams are terrible, and I will even go one step further and say that Ryan Roberts was terrible, the right tackle. Jalen Goss and Chaz Neal could not get on the field and beat those three guys out. It's saying something. They're hogging up a scholarship. In today's college football, you can't take on a project like Chaz Neal. Okay? He's a red shirt. I want to say he's a red shirt sophomore, I believe. Or a redshirt freshman. I didn't look it up, so he's one of the two. He's been on campus for at least 1 year. He's added a lot of weight, but we got to do something with him, man. Either you're going to play him and see if he can play, or you got to let him go. So I didn't have any NFL comparison to him. I can't really compare him to anybody because I haven't seen any game tape on him. So my next guy is going to be Robert Cooper, defensive tackle. He's 6'2", 346 pounds. And this is what I had to say about him. Needs to continue losing weight. Very strong player. Rarely stays blocked by one player. The new defensive coordinator will employ a 4-3 multiple scheme, so Cooper will probably rotate with Durden and Wilson at the defensive tackle position. He needs to study film. Needs to learn more pass rushing moves instead of using bull rush all the time. His ideal weight to me would be 315 pounds. This guy will be a major contributor for Florida State next season. My NFL comparison for him is Dontari Poe for the Carolina Panthers. Dontari Poe is about an inch taller than him, but they have the same game. Dontari Poe is a little bit more athletic than Robert Cooper, just a little bit, but like I said, Robert Cooper needs to get down to about 315 pounds, and he will be a beast. Okay? Because, like I said, one guy can't block him. So if he has a little bit more speed in terms of getting off the ball, he's going to be unstoppable. The sky's the limit for Robert Cooper, man. If Marvin Wilson wasn't coming back, and I'm going to speak on that in a minute. If Marvin Wilson wasn't coming back, he would be the guy. He would be right beside Durden. So he needs to continue changing his body, getting in better condition so he can play the whole game. If he can do that, man, I say first round pick without a doubt. So he needs to drop another, 30 pounds. And, hopefully, this new strength and conditioning coach, who I'm going to speak on later on in this episode, hopefully he can transform Robert Cooper, and make him, the player that I think he can be. So that's my 2-player breakdown. And next I wanted to talk about Scary Terry and Big Marv coming back. This was tremendous news. Okay. We all know what they bring to the table on the field. It shows me that they really want Florida State to get back to elite status. Both of these guys could have been fringe first rounders, potentially. In this day and age where athletes always go for the money, it's refreshing to see players stay in school. These 2 guys will be leaders on the team next season, and hopefully next season will be a lot better. I think, like I've said, and, really since day one that I started this podcast, offensive line, defensive line, and strength and conditioning, and a total recommitment by Florida State University to this football program is what you have to do. In any order you want to put it, I don't care. If that is not what you're trying to do, then it's a moot point. Okay? Give Norvell everything that he needs to bring this thing back to where we all want it. And, Scary Terry and Big Marv coming back, I don't know if anybody listens to this podcast that's close to them. Hey, man, thank you for coming back. I'm a fan. I'm a diehard fan, and it's just great that you guys want this program to get back to where it was 6 years ago. So my next topic is going to be about the new strength and conditioning coach, Josh Storms. Can he transform this team into a well-conditioned team? I don't know if he can in 9 months, but he had better put 1,000% effort in trying, because he, to me, in my opinion now, is the most important guy on this staff right now, because strength and conditioning is a major issue for this team. This team is tissue paper soft. When Alabama State moves the ball on you, that should never happen. Alabama State should not be able to budge one player on the Florida State Seminoles football team. Louisiana Monroe should never be in a game with us. Ever. Okay? But it all happened. Alright? The strength and conditioning coach needs to gut check this entire team right after, as soon as they get back to Tallahassee. And, hopefully they're back right now and they're doing strength and conditioning drills right now. You need to start right now. And you need to go hard from now until September 5th against West Virginia. And I just, you look at the Clemsons, you look at the Ohio States, the Oklahomas, the LSUs, the Auburns. I mean, those guys look like androids out there. And that's how I want my team to look. Okay? So, I don't know anything about Josh Storms. I read his bio. He's got a master's degree in strength and conditioning. Okay, great. I need you to put that to use and turn these guys into androids, terminators. Okay? My last thing, or my second to last thing that I want to talk about is, can Florida State be elite in year one. Elite to me is one loss or less, and you win your conference championship, and you're a fringe college football playoff team, or you are a college football playoff team. And I'm going to say no. No, they can't be elite in year one. It's not realistic. I don't think you can change your offensive and defensive line talent enough. Okay, I don't think you can change your strength and conditioning enough in 9 months to get to elite status in 9 months. No, best case scenario for Florida State next season is 9-3. You're not beating Clemson. You're probably not going to beat Florida. And then you're probably going to lose another game, another close game. Okay? So 9-3. It's going to take years to catch Clemson. And that's if you're recruiting in the top 5. Okay? I say minimum 3 years with 3 top 5 classes. Maybe by year 3, you're beating Clemson. Maybe. Like I've said in past episodes, probably every episode, Florida State University needs to totally invest in football to get back to elite status. I think you've got a really good coach. He's put together what everybody's saying is a good staff. I don't know anything about these guys to make that assessment. Like I said in a previous episode, I'm a wait and see type of guy when it comes to coaches. And I'm going to stick with that same philosophy. I mean, I hope they prove me wrong. I hope they go out there and go 12-0 and beat Clemson. But just realistically, I don't think that's going to happen. All right. So my final thing is, who will be the quarterback next season? I don't know. I would love to see James Blackman behind a decent offensive line. His arm strength is phenomenal. He can make all the throws. I think when you drop back to pass and you know that your left tackle and your right tackle suck, you make mistakes. You're thinking about blocking instead of going through your progressions as a quarterback. But I just feel like James Blackman has to be the guy. I don't think unless do you have a competition and Rodemaker and Purdy are even with James Blackman, okay, then you go with the younger guy. That's always been the motto. But if James Blackman competes with these guys and beat them out, he's got to be the starter. I don't know anything about Rodemaker or Purdy to really make a proper assessment or breakdown on them. I mean, I can look at high school tape and say, oh yeah, he's going to be great at Florida State, but nobody knows that. Okay? Every time you go up a level in football, your previous level of football doesn't guarantee success at the next level. This is a team game. So, largely in part, your success is going to be dependent upon what's around you. So, we'll see. You could always say, okay, when we get to the spring game, we can evaluate Rodemaker. Purdy won't be there. He's not an early enrollee, but the spring game is a 50-50 thing. So, I mean, Kalen LeBourne looked all world in the spring game 2 years ago. He got hurt. And then this year, he couldn't do anything. I think that knee was still bothering him, but, we'll see, man. So, all in all, James Blackman, my choice. I have been highly critical of James Blackman, but to me, he gives you the best chance to win game 1 of the 2020 season. Jordan Travis needs to improve his arm strength for me to even consider him. Obviously, he's got wheels. He'd be great on the read option, RPO thing, but when he has to pass it, you have to do like short to intermediate routes for him. He can't throw anything deep with, any, accuracy. The ball wobbles every time he goes deep. So we'll see, man. We'll see. That's gonna conclude today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to thank everyone for the tremendous support for my podcast. It is available on YouTube. It is available on Apple Podcasts. It's available on Spotify Podcasts, and it's available on Google Podcasts. I want to thank everyone for your continued support, and as always, go Noles.